You will never lose what is meant for you, but you will block it the moment you start chasing it. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to self-respect, inner peace, and the courage to let go of everything that is draining your soul. The moment you stop begging for attention, stop fighting for love, stop forcing doors that are clearly closed, life rearranges itself in ways you never imagined. Let go just once and you will see something magical. The people who truly value you will move closer. The blessings meant for you will finally appear, and the peace you've been chasing your whole life will walk straight toward you. Letting go isn't losing, it's how you win. 1. Letting go removes the block you didn't know you created. Most people never realize that when they hold on to someone or something too tightly, they are not expressing love, they are expressing fear. Fear of losing, fear of being alone, fear of the unknown. Fear that if they loosen their grip even a little, everything will fall apart. And because of this fear, they cling with their entire heart, thinking that tightening their hold will somehow protect the relationship, the dream, or the outcome they want. But the truth is the opposite. The more desperately you cling, the more you trap yourself inside your own tension. You create an invisible wall around your energy without even noticing it. Buddhism explains this through the idea of attachment being a root of suffering. When you attach with fear, your mind does not remain soft, it becomes tight, anxious, restless. You begin to analyze every small sign, worry about every detail, imagine every worst-case scenario. Suddenly, a simple delay feels like rejection. One cold message feels like abandonment. One unexpected change feels like betrayal. Your mind becomes a storm, creating suffering from situations that were never meant to hurt you. You are no longer connecting, you are controlling. You try to shape outcomes with force, hoping that if you hold on hard enough, life will give you what you want. But life does not respond to force, it responds to flow. When you cling, you create resistance. When you cling, you send a message to the universe that you do not trust the natural unfolding of your path. You unintentionally push away the very thing you're desperate to keep. When your energy is filled with fear, nothing can move toward you easily. It is like trying to invite fresh air into a room while keeping all the windows shut. The blessing is outside, waiting. The opportunity is right there. The connection wants to come toward you, but the emotional pressure you hold inside becomes the very blockage that stops it. Letting go is not about losing hope or giving up. It is about loosening the emotional tension that suffocates your blessings. Even when you release your grip just a little, something shifts inside you. Your energy becomes softer. Your thoughts become clearer. Your heart becomes open instead of contracted. And when this happens, things that once felt stuck begin to move again. People respond differently. Situations unfold more naturally. Opportunities that seemed impossible start finding their way toward you because you are no longer blocking them with fear. Letting go doesn't remove the blessing from your life. It removes the barrier your fear created. It clears the doorway so what was meant for you can finally walk through. It brings space into your heart so your destiny can breathe again. And the moment you stop gripping tightly out of fear, you finally allow life to flow the way it was always meant to. 2. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. There is a powerful truth most people never learn until life forces them to. The more you chase something, the faster it runs away from you. This applies to people, opportunities, success, love, and even happiness. Chasing is a signal of inner emptiness. It is a message you send to the universe saying, I do not feel whole on my own, so I need this thing outside me to complete me. And whenever you operate from this energy, nothing stays, nothing flows. Everything you want begins to slip through your fingers because the universe does not respond to desperation, it responds to alignment. Buddhism teaches that your inner state creates your outer world. When you chase someone emotionally, it often comes from fear. Fear of losing them, fear of missing out, fear that you are not enough. This fear turns into clinginess, overthinking, constant texting, seeking reassurance, trying to predict their actions, trying to read signs, trying to hold on to a connection that is slipping because your energy is pushing it away. You do not realize it, but chasing tells the world that you are not choosing yourself. You are choosing the fear of being without them. But the moment you stop chasing, truly stop, not pretend to stop, you shift into a new energy. You start moving from self-respect instead of fear. You start valuing your peace more than your need for validation. You begin to understand that anything that requires you to beg, force, or convince will only drain you in the long run. And when you step into this mindset, something beautiful happens. You become magnetic. Your energy becomes calm, grounded, centered. You no longer move from panic or insecurity, you move from presence. People feel this energy instantly, even without words. They feel your strength. They feel your confidence. They feel the space you have created inside yourself, space for clarity, space for truth, space for someone or something that aligns with your growth instead of your wounds. Think of a flame. When you chase it, it flickers away from your hand. But when you sit still, it settles and glows. That is how your energy works. When you run after someone, they instinctively pull away. But when you return to yourself, your goals, your healing, your path, they begin to notice your absence. They begin to wonder about you. They begin to see your value. What once avoided you now turns toward you, because your neediness has dissolved. This is why Buddhism emphasizes non-attachment and inner fulfillment. When you stop seeking happiness outside yourself, you naturally become someone who attracts happiness. When you stop seeking love desperately, you become someone others love being around. When you stop chasing success, you become someone success gravitates toward because you are focused, present, and aligned with your purpose. People are drawn to calm, not chaos. They are drawn to someone who knows their worth, not someone who constantly doubts it. When you stop chasing, you send a clear message to the universe. I trust myself. I trust the journey. I trust that what is meant for me will arrive. And this trust transforms your entire energy field. Suddenly, you notice people reaching out. Things start working in your favor. Opportunities appear without you forcing anything. What once felt out of reach now comes closer because your inner frequency finally matches the reality you desire. You become a magnet not by trying harder, but by becoming still enough to let life come to you. You don't attract by running after anything. You attract by becoming someone worth running toward. And that transformation begins the moment you stop chasing and start choosing yourself. 3. Letting go breaks the illusion of control. One of the greatest illusions the human mind creates is the belief that we can control everything: people, outcomes, timing, emotions, situations, and even destiny. We convince ourselves that if we try hard enough, think long enough, or hold on tightly enough, life will bend according to our wishes. But Buddhism teaches that this illusion of control is the root of much of our suffering. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we refuse to accept that life cannot always be shaped by our expectations. When you cling to control, your mind becomes trapped in constant tension. You replay conversations in your head, trying to guess what someone meant. You worry about the future, as if your anxiety can change the outcome. You try to predict how people will act, so you can protect yourself from being hurt. You force situations hoping they will turn out the way you want. But this tight grip creates nothing but mental exhaustion. You become tired, emotionally drained, and spiritually heavy, and the more you try to control, the more life seems to slip out of your hands. This is because control is an illusion. You cannot control how others feel. You cannot control how someone treats you. You cannot control the timing of your blessings. You cannot force a relationship to work if the other person's heart is not aligned with yours. You cannot force opportunities that are not meant for your path. You cannot shape destiny by holding harder. Life follows its own rhythm. The universe unfolds according to its own timing. And the more you resist this truth, the more you create suffering inside yourself. Letting go is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming wise. It is about recognizing which parts of life are in your hands and which parts never were. You can control your actions, but not the results. You can control your effort, but not the timing. You can control your intentions, but not the outcome. When you understand this, you stop fighting battles that were never yours to win. In Buddhism, this understanding is called surrendering to the flow. It means trusting that life knows what it's doing even when you don't. It means accepting that the universe sees the bigger picture while you only see a single moment. It means releasing the constant need to force things to happen and allowing things to unfold naturally. When you let go of control, something extraordinary happens inside you. Your mind becomes lighter, your breath becomes deeper, your heart becomes calmer. The fear that once felt so large begins to shrink because you finally stop pretending you are responsible for everything. You begin to live in the present instead of trying to manipulate the future. You begin to respond to life instead of reacting from fear. You begin to feel a peace you haven't felt in years because you are no longer fighting reality, you are aligning with it. And ironically, the moment you stop trying to control everything is the moment everything begins to fall into place. Opportunities arrive when you are no longer chasing them. The right people stay when you stop trying to force connection. Relationships become more authentic because you are no longer acting from fear or insecurity. Your path becomes clearer because you stop clouding it with expectations. Letting go breaks the illusion of control and replaces it with trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the timing, trust in the unfolding of your destiny. It frees you from carrying burdens you were never meant to hold, and it opens your life to the possibility that what is meant for you will come with ease, not struggle. When you stop trying to control everything, you finally make space for the universe to guide you toward what was always meant to be yours. 4. Self-love becomes stronger when you stop holding on to what hurts. One of the hardest truths in life is accepting that not everything you want is good for your soul, and not everyone you love is meant to walk your entire journey with you. Many people stay attached to situations, relationships, and memories that quietly damage their peace, simply because letting go feels too painful or too unfamiliar. The mind convinces you that holding on is safer, that staying with what hurts is easier than facing the emptiness that comes with release. But Buddhism teaches the opposite. Letting go is the beginning of real love, not love for others, but love for yourself. When you hold on to something that drains your spirit, whether it is a person, a habit, a belief, or a past version of yourself, you slowly abandon your own emotional well-being. You shrink your needs just to keep someone else comfortable. You silence your truth so the relationship doesn't break. You keep giving parts of yourself away just to maintain peace that isn't real. And every time you do this, your self-love weakens, because you are teaching yourself that your pain is less important than the fear of losing someone. But the moment you stop holding on to what hurts you, even if it feels scary, something powerful begins to grow inside you. You start remembering who you are without the weight of that attachment. You start noticing how heavy your heart had become while you were trying to make something work that was already falling apart. You begin to recognize your worth, not through how much you sacrifice, but through how much you protect your peace. Self-love doesn't always look soft. Sometimes, it looks like choosing yourself when someone else refuses to. Sometimes, it looks like walking away from a conversation that always breaks you. Sometimes, it looks like ending a relationship that drains your light. Sometimes, It looks like releasing a dream you outgrew, because clinging to it is killing your joy. Sometimes, self-love is not a gentle whisper, but a difficult decision. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering, not because attachment itself is evil, but because we often cling to things long after their purpose in our life has ended. We stay attached to memories of people who no longer treat us the way they once did. We hold on to versions of ourselves that no longer fit who we are becoming. We keep returning to situations that hurt us because the pain feels familiar. But familiarity is not love, and comfort is not peace. When you let go of what hurts, you open a doorway inside yourself, a doorway to healing, growth, and self-respect. You begin to reconnect with your own needs, your own truth, your own emotional strength. You stop betraying yourself just to keep something that is breaking you. You stop giving energy to people who only take. You stop ignoring your intuition when it quietly whispers, "You deserve more." And as you rise into this new space, you start feeling something you haven't felt in a long time: dignity. You begin to see that real self-love is not about pampering yourself with external pleasures. It is about refusing to abandon yourself internally. It is about cutting ties with anything that consistently hurts your mind or heart. It is about respecting your own boundaries, even when others don't understand them. It is about loving yourself enough to say, "This is not healthy for me anymore." Letting go of what hurts is not failure, it is evolution. It is your soul choosing growth over stagnation. It is your spirit choosing peace over chaos. It is your heart choosing healing over repeating the same painful cycle. And every time you choose yourself, your self-love becomes stronger, deeper, and more unshakable. With each painful release, you step closer to the life you truly deserve. You shed the weight that was suffocating your peace. You reclaim the energy that was drained by things that did not deserve your devotion. And slowly, beautifully, your heart learns that letting go was not the end but the beginning of becoming whole again. When you stop holding on to what hurts, you finally create space for what heals. You create space for love that doesn't break you. You create space for relationships that respect your boundaries. You create space for opportunities that align with your growth. And most importantly, you create space for the version of yourself that you were always meant to become. 5. Letting go creates space for what was always meant for you. Imagine your heart as a room, a sacred, quiet space where life places the people, opportunities, lessons, and experiences that shape who you become. Now imagine that room filled from corner to corner with old memories, unresolved pain, expired relationships, past mistakes you keep replaying, expectations that no longer match your reality, and dreams you outgrew, but still hold on to because you fear letting them go. With all of this clutter occupying your inner world, how can anything new enter? How can growth happen when there is no room for it? How can the blessings meant for you arrive when your heart is still full of yesterday? Buddhism teaches that a cluttered mind cannot receive clarity, and a cluttered heart cannot receive peace. When you hold on tightly to the past, whether it is a person, an identity, a fear, or a story you tell yourself, you create emotional congestion inside you. This congestion blocks the natural flow of life. Even good things struggle to reach you because there is no space for them to land. You might pray for new love, but your heart is still occupied by old wounds. You might wish for new opportunities, but your fear of failure still fills the room. You might desire a fresh start, but the memories of your past mistakes are still sitting at the center of your attention like heavy furniture you never moved. Letting go is the process of cleaning this room, not by forgetting, but by releasing the emotional weight you've been carrying. It means acknowledging that some things served their purpose and are no longer meant to stay. It means understanding that you can cherish a memory without chaining yourself to it. It means accepting that life changes, people change, and you are allowed to change with it. You do not have to hold on to something just because it once made you happy. You do not have to cling to someone just because you love them deeply. You do not have to keep reliving a chapter just because it took you a long time to write it. When you let go, you begin to see how much mental space was being drained by things that no longer exist in your present reality. You start to breathe more freely because your mind is no longer occupied by emotional ghosts. You feel lighter because you are not carrying the past on your shoulders. And with that lightness, you become receptive, open to signs, open to alignment, open to the blessings the universe was always trying to send you. Letting go does not erase what happened. It removes the emotional grip that keeps repeating the suffering. It clears the fog. It opens windows. It invites light back into your inner room. And the moment this space is created, life begins to fill it with things that truly belong to you. Suddenly, the right people find their way into your life effortlessly. Opportunities that felt distant begin to appear without force. Your mind becomes clearer, making decisions easier. Your intuition becomes stronger, guiding you toward paths aligned with your highest growth. The universe is always speaking, always sending, always guiding. But you cannot hear or receive anything when your inner world is overcrowded with fear, doubt, and old attachments. Clearing space is not just a spiritual idea, it is a law of energy. What you hold on to tightly cannot evolve. What you cling to out of fear cannot grow. What you refuse to release cannot transform into something better. The universe cannot deliver what is meant for you when your hands are still clenched around what was never meant to stay. Think about a tree. Every autumn, it releases its leaves not because the leaves had no meaning, but because the tree understands that letting go is necessary for renewal. If the tree tried to cling to every dry leaf, it would soon become too burdened to grow new ones in spring. In the same way, your heart must release the dead leaves of past seasons so new growth can finally appear. Letting go is not a loss, it is preparation. It is clearing the soil so new seeds can take root. It is removing the emotional clutter so new blessings can enter. It is telling the universe, I trust your timing. I trust your plan. I trust that what is meant for me will arrive when my heart is ready to receive it. You are not losing anything by letting go. You are simply making space for something greater, something more aligned, something that belongs to who you are becoming. You are creating room for relationships that love you, for opportunities that elevate you, for experiences that nourish your soul, and for a future that matches your worth. The moment you create space within yourself, the universe fills it always, without fail, because what is meant for you has been waiting patiently for you to let go of what no longer is. 6. Letting go heals your nervous system and restores inner peace. We often think emotional pain stays only in the mind, but the truth is deeper. Every thought you repeat, every fear you cling to, every attachment you refuse to release settles not just in your mind, but in your body. Your nervous system carries your memories. Your breathing carries your stress. Your posture carries your fears. And your physical body reflects the weight of everything your heart is trying to hold on to. Buddhism teaches that the mind and body are not separate. They mirror each other. When your mind is tense with attachment, your body follows. When your heart is trying to grip something that is slipping away, your entire being experiences the pressure. Attachment creates a constant state of alertness. You become hyper-aware of signs, messages, reactions. You begin to scan people's behavior, fearing abandonment, fearing rejection, fearing loss. Even when nothing is happening, your body acts as if everything is about to fall apart. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your breathing becomes shallow. You wake up tired because your mind never stopped fighting battles, even in the night. This is the hidden cost of holding on to what you are meant to release. Your nervous system enters a survival mode, and your body becomes trapped in cycles of anxiety, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. You may feel restless, easily irritated, drained without reason, unable to focus, or unable to sleep. This is not weakness. This is the weight of emotional attachment impacting your physical health. Every time you replay a past moment, your nervous system relives it as if it's happening again. Every time you cling to someone who is pulling away, your body experiences that tension like a physical wound. And every time you fear losing something, your system responds with the same chemicals it releases during danger. But the moment you begin to let go truly, let go, your entire internal world begins to shift. Releasing attachment doesn't just create emotional peace, it creates physical healing. Your breathing becomes deeper because you are no longer suffocating under the pressure of fear. Your shoulders relax because you are no longer carrying the burden of controlling outcomes. Your heart rate lowers because you are no longer chasing someone who doesn't want to stay. Your sleep improves because your mind is not replaying scenarios trying to fix what is already broken. Your nervous system starts to regulate itself because the threat you created in your mind is finally dissolving. Letting go is a spiritual practice, but it is also a biological reset. When you stop holding on to something that hurts you, your body feels the release immediately, even before your mind fully understands it. You feel a lightness in your chest, a quietness in your thoughts, a softness in your movements. You begin to feel present again, instead of living inside the past or the imagined future. You become able to enjoy small moments, silence, nature, your own company, because your nervous system is not constantly in a state of emotional emergency. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from resisting reality. When you cling to what is leaving or try to force what is not meant for you, you create a war inside yourself, and your body fights with you. But when you accept what is, when you release your grip and allow life to unfold naturally, your mind stops fighting, your body stops tensing, your nervous system finally receives the message, "I am safe now." The healing that follows is profound. You start to reconnect with yourself. You gain clarity on what truly matters. You begin to recognize which relationships nourish your soul and which ones only trigger your wounds. You develop emotional strength, not from controlling everything, but from letting go of everything that controls you. Letting go is not about erasing your emotions. It is about freeing your body from carrying emotions that were never meant to stay. It is about giving your heart the space it needs to breathe and recover. It is about giving your mind permission to rest. It is about giving your spirit room to rise beyond the chaos you once lived in. When you let go, you heal on levels you didn't even realize were damaged. Your energy becomes balanced, your thoughts become clearer, and your body begins to feel like a safe home again instead of a battlefield. Peace is not something you chase. It is something that naturally returns the moment you stop clinging to what hurts. Letting go is the medicine your mind, body, and spirit have been begging for. It is the doorway through which calmness flows back into your life. It is the moment your nervous system stops screaming for relief because the burden it carried has finally been lifted. Letting go restores you. And once restored, you become someone who no longer breaks under pressure. You become someone who bends, breathes, and rises. 7. When you let go, what is meant for you naturally finds you. There is a quiet, unshakable truth woven through every Buddhist teaching, every spiritual tradition, and every real-life story of transformation. What is truly meant for you will never require you to break yourself to keep it. It will never require you to chase it endlessly. It will never demand that you sacrifice your peace, your dignity, or your self-respect. The things that are meant for you, people, opportunities, paths, experiences, and blessings, move toward you when your internal world becomes aligned, balanced, and open. And this alignment only happens when you learn the sacred art of letting go. Letting go is not abandonment. It is not giving up. It is not indifference. Letting go is understanding that some things in life are written with invisible ink, destined to fade regardless of how tightly you cling. Letting go is recognizing that forcing life to stay in a place it no longer belongs is a form of self-inflicted suffering. Letting go is trusting in the intelligence of the universe, the same intelligence that turns the tides, grows forests, and moves seasons with perfect timing, even without your control. The problem is that the human mind craves permanence. It becomes attached to familiarity, even when that familiarity hurts. You cling to relationships that drain your soul because you're afraid of the pain of releasing them. You hold on to opportunities that no longer excite you because you fear uncertainty. You replay old memories because letting them go means accepting that life has changed. You fight to keep situations alive long after their season has passed, because you believe your happiness depends on holding on. But Buddhism teaches that clinging is the root of suffering, not because desire is bad, but because attachment creates a false belief that your fulfillment exists outside yourself. The moment you place your happiness in a person, outcome, or event, you give away your inner power. You become dependent on something unstable, something temporary, something fragile. And when that thing begins to shift, which it always will, you feel as if your world is collapsing. But your world isn't collapsing. Your attachment is. Letting go is the process of returning your power to where it belongs, within you. It is the act of releasing the emotional chains you placed on things that were never designed to stay forever. It means allowing life to flow instead of trying to dam the river with your fears. It means trusting that the universe does not take without giving and does not remove without replacing. Only sometimes the replacement requires space, silence, and patience. When you begin to let go, something subtle but profound changes inside you. The mental noise starts to quiet. The emotional tightness begins to dissolve. The weight on your chest becomes lighter. You stop begging for clarity and start finding it naturally. You stop trying to control every step and start trusting the rhythm of the journey. Letting go softens you, but it also strengthens you. It teaches you that you are far more capable than you think and far more supported by life than you realize. Most people never experience this beautiful unfolding because they fear the discomfort of detachment. They mistake letting go as losing something precious, not realizing that what they are losing is not the thing itself, but the illusion that they needed it to be whole. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is this: anything that is truly meant for you will never require fear to hold it. It will never leave because you loosened your grip. It will never disappear because you stopped chasing. In fact, loosening your grip allows what is stable and genuine to stay more effortlessly. Think of relationships. When you cling to someone out of fear, you suffocate the connection. You create pressure. You create tension. You create distance. You make the other person feel responsible for your sense of worth. But when you let go not of the person, but of the fear, you allow love to breathe. You allow respect to grow. You allow authenticity to flourish. Healthy connections are not held by force. They are held by mutual alignment. The right person will stay not because you cling, but because they feel peace in your presence. The same is true for opportunities. The moment you chase something with desperation, you shrink your own energy. You operate from lack. You tell the universe that you do not believe you are capable of receiving better. And this fear-based energy blocks what is meant for you. But when you release the need to force outcomes and instead focus on becoming the best version of yourself, opportunities begin to appear like doors opening exactly when you approach. You do not force them. They align naturally. Letting go is also a message to the universe. I trust your timing more than my fears. And the universe responds to trust. When you trust, life begins to reorganize itself quietly, subtly, and elegantly in your favor. People who drained you fade away so better ones can enter. Situations that trapped you dissolve so new paths can take shape. Doors you kept knocking on for months remain closed, not as punishment, but because better doors are waiting for you, doors you haven't noticed yet, because your eyes were fixed on the wrong one. Sometimes, letting go leads to blessings you never imagined. A breakup becomes the doorway to self-respect. A rejection becomes the pivot that pushes you toward your true purpose. A job loss becomes the spark that leads to a career you love. A friendship ending becomes the chance to meet people who match your growth. The universe is always adjusting your path to fit your highest good, but you cannot see this adjustment when your hands are gripping the past. The irony is that what you fear losing often returns in a healthier form once you let go. Sometimes people come back when both souls have matured. Sometimes opportunities reappear when you are finally aligned with them. Sometimes love returns after you both learn the lessons you were meant to learn separately. But these things only return when the attachment dissolves, when the fear is gone, when you are no longer holding on to them as a source of identity. Letting go teaches you patience, the patience to allow things to unfold without rushing them. It teaches you humility, the humility to admit you do not know the timing or the plan. It teaches you resilience, the resilience to walk through uncertainty without collapsing. It teaches you faith, the faith that what is meant for you cannot pass you by, no matter how far away it seems right now. What is meant for you is not fragile. It does not disappear because you stopped begging. It does not break because you walked away from chaos. It does not vanish because you chose healing. It does not get taken from you because you stopped worrying. What is meant for you is part of the architecture of your destiny. It is woven into your life with threads you cannot see. It follows its own route, travels its own timeline, and arrives when your heart is ready, not when your mind demands it. When you let go, you return to a state of alignment. Alignment with your truth, your worth, your inner strength, and your spiritual path. In this state, you become a magnet for everything that matches your vibration. Peace finds you. Love finds you. Opportunities find you. Healing finds you. Moments of clarity find you. And the people who belong in your life move toward you effortlessly because your energy welcomes them instead of chasing or forcing. There is no need to run after what belongs to you. The universe has already marked it. The timing may shift, the path may twist, the shape of the blessing may evolve. But it will arrive always when your hands are free, your heart is open, and your spirit is aligned. Letting go is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the chapter where everything finally starts to make sense. Because the moment you release what is not meant for you, everything that is meant for you begins its journey toward you. And it will find you not because you chased it, but because you became someone it was destined to reach. 8. Letting go allows life to reveal what you couldn't see before. There comes a point in every person's journey where holding on becomes more painful than letting go, yet the mind continues to cling because it believes that letting go will create emptiness. But what most people never realize is that the true emptiness comes from holding on to something that has already completed its purpose in your life. What feels like emptiness after letting go is not a void, it is a clearing. A clearing where clarity begins to grow, where wisdom begins to rise, and where life begins to reveal truths you could never see while you were tightly gripping something that was no longer aligned with your path. Buddhism teaches that our attachments act like dust on a mirror. The more we cling to expectations, old memories, and painful stories, the more layers of dust accumulate. Eventually, the mirror becomes so fogged that you can no longer see your own reflection clearly. You become disconnected from your inner truth because your vision is clouded by fear, nostalgia, or emotional dependency. You try harder and harder to understand your life, but the answers never appear, not because the answers don't exist, but because your attachment blocks your ability to see them. Letting go is the act of wiping the mirror clean. It is the slow, gentle process of removing the emotional dust that has prevented you from seeing who you truly are and what your life truly needs. When you let go, the fog lifts. The mental noise quiets. The emotional heaviness dissolves. For the first time in a long time, you can see your own path, not the path shaped by fear, not the path shaped by others, not the path shaped by desperation, but the path that was always meant for you. This clarity does not arrive while your hands are clenched. It does not appear while your mind is busy protecting an attachment. It does not rise while your heart is defending something that hurts you. Clarity requires spaciousness. It requires surrender. It requires openness. And letting go is what creates that space. When you cling to something, whether it is a person, an identity, a dream, or a narrative about yourself, you unintentionally restrict your own growth. Your energy becomes tied to maintaining what is familiar rather than embracing what is possible. The mind becomes so focused on preserving what you currently have that it becomes blind to the greater blessings waiting just outside your field of vision. You cannot see the new chapter because you are still holding on to the old one. You cannot see the new path because you are staring at the closed door. You cannot see the better life because your attention is trapped in the one you are afraid to release. But the universe has a strange way of hiding certain things until you are ready to receive them. Opportunities remain invisible until you step into the right state of being. People who could help you remain outside your life until you create space for them. Parts of your own purpose stay dormant until you release what was blocking them. The life meant for you cannot be revealed while you are gripping tightly to a life that no longer fits who you are becoming. Letting go is the moment your eyes begin to adjust. It is the moment the next chapter begins to glow faintly in the distance. It is the moment the universe reveals guidance that was previously hidden. You start noticing signs that you ignored before. You start understanding situations with new wisdom. You start connecting dots that once felt random. You start hearing your intuition with greater clarity. You start realizing why certain people left, why certain opportunities didn't work out, why certain paths were blocked. It becomes clear that nothing was happening to you. Everything was happening for you. But that understanding only comes after release. As long as you cling, you remain emotionally blind. You remain mentally foggy. You remain spiritually disconnected from the larger picture of your life. Holding on keeps you trapped in a narrow version of reality, a version shaped by fear, comfort, and habit. Letting go opens your awareness to a higher vision, a vision shaped by purpose, growth, and alignment. Letting go also reveals truths about yourself that you could never see from within an attachment. You begin to understand your patterns, your wounds, your strengths, and your desires with greater accuracy. You start recognizing what kinds of people drain your energy and what kinds of people nourish it. You begin to see the difference between emotional dependency and genuine connection. You begin to understand the difference between a life you thought you wanted and the life that actually fulfills your soul. This self-awareness is not possible while you cling, because attachment distorts perception. You interpret experiences through fear, not clarity. You react impulsively instead of responding consciously. You view yourself in relation to what you are holding on to, rather than viewing yourself as an independent being. Letting go breaks this emotional distortion. It allows you to see yourself clearly, maybe for the first time in years. Letting go also creates inner space where new opportunities and new blessings can enter. You may not realize it, but when you cling, your heart is full of worry, fear, yearning, or emotional tension. This fullness blocks your ability to receive. You cannot welcome new love while your heart is heavy with old pain. You cannot receive new opportunities while your hands are full of old failures. You cannot step into your new self while you are still carrying the weight of your old identity. But when you let go, you create the space necessary for new life to enter. You make room for new relationships, friendships, experiences, ideas, and opportunities. You open yourself to surprises, blessings, synchronicities, and sudden shifts in direction. The universe flows into the space you create, just as water flows into any empty vessel, and once the space is open, life begins to rearrange itself around you in extraordinary ways. Letting go also reconnects you with the flow of life. When you cling, you separate yourself from the natural movement of the universe. You become rigid, tense, and resistant. But life is fluid. Seasons change, people evolve, paths shift. Growth requires movement. When you let go, you rejoin this flow. You stop resisting, you stop forcing, you stop fighting reality. Instead, you move with life rather than against it. This is where peace begins, not by controlling life, but by aligning with its rhythm. And as you align with this flow, you begin to notice that what is meant for you does not require struggle, it does not require begging, it does not require emotional chaos. It arrives with ease, grace, and natural timing. It enters your life gently, often unexpectedly, but always with undeniable alignment. It feels like a quiet yes inside your chest, a sense of relief rather than tension, a sense of home rather than effort. This is the ultimate reward of letting go. Life begins to reveal what was always meant to be yours. What is meant for you becomes visible. What is meant for you becomes possible. What is meant for you becomes yours, not because you chased it, but because you became ready for it. Letting go is not the end. It is the unlocking, the uncovering, the awakening. The moment life steps out of the shadows and says, "Now that you are free, now that you are open, now that you are aligned, let me show you what I had planned for you all along." 9. Letting go returns you to your true path, the one you were always meant to walk. There is a quiet truth that life whispers to every soul, yet most people do not hear it until their hearts have been cracked open by pain. You can spend years walking in a direction that was never meant for you simply because you were too afraid to let go of something familiar. The job that drains you, the person who confuses you, the habits that numb you, the dreams you've outgrown, the identity that no longer feels like home. These things can quietly pull you off your true path without you even realizing it. And as long as you cling to them, you drift further away from the life your soul was meant to experience. Buddhism teaches that every human being carries within them a unique path, subtle, sacred, and aligned with their inner truth. But the mind, filled with attachments, expectations, and fears, often leads you away from this path. You begin chasing things that do not belong to you. You force relationships whose energies do not resonate with yours. You pursue goals that were never truly your goals, but were planted in your mind by society, family, or comparison. You mold yourself into shapes that please others, but suffocate your spirit. And slowly, without knowing it, you drift away from your own destiny. Letting go is what brings you back. When you release the things that are not meant for you, you naturally begin to reconnect with the things that are. It is not magic, it is alignment. It is not luck, it is clarity. It is not coincidence, it is the universe guiding you back to where you belong. But before this alignment happens, a strange and painful process takes place. When you let go of something that once felt important, your mind panics. The ego becomes threatened. The heart feels empty. You begin to wonder whether you made a mistake. Old memories tug at you. Old habits pull you back. Old fears whisper, "What if you never find anything better? What if letting go was wrong?" This discomfort is not a sign that you lost something meaningful. It is the turbulence of returning to yourself. The mind clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is damaging. But your soul knows better. Your intuition has always known. Deep down, you have felt that certain things in your life were out of alignment. You felt the resistance, the heaviness, the quiet sadness, the constant doubt, the subtle pulling in your chest that said, "This is not where you are meant to stay." Letting go is the moment you stop betraying that truth. It is the moment you stop fighting your intuition and finally start listening to it. And when this happens, the path you were always meant to walk slowly begins to reveal itself. Not all at once, not in a dramatic burst, but gently, like a mist lifting from a landscape to reveal a view that was always there. At first, you might only see small changes. Your thoughts become clearer, your emotions settle, your breathing deepens. You begin to feel more connected to yourself. You begin to notice signs, opportunities, insights, or coincidences that guide you forward. The universe starts speaking more loudly because you are no longer drowning its voice with the noise of attachment. Letting go also creates a dramatic shift inside your inner compass. You start making decisions differently, not based on fear, not based on pressure, not based on the need to hold on to something that no longer fits. Instead, you begin to choose what feels aligned, peaceful, authentic, and alive. You begin to follow your intuition more naturally. You begin to understand yourself more clearly. You begin to walk with a confidence that does not come from certainty, but from inner truth. You stop chasing other people's approval because you finally realize that approval does not keep you alive. Alignment does. You stop sacrificing your peace for temporary validation because you finally realize that peace is the foundation of every meaningful thing you will ever build. You stop forcing relationships that drain you because you finally realize that love cannot grow where your spirit feels unsafe. You stop desperately holding on to paths that have expired because you finally realize that every ending was simply a redirection. Letting go reveals the redirection, and the deeper your release, the clearer the redirection becomes. You start to recognize that some things did not fall apart, they were removed. Some people did not leave, they were released. Some opportunities did not vanish, you outgrew them. Some endings were not punishments, they were protections. The universe was not destroying your life. It was pruning it, trimming away what no longer served you, so that the next season of your life could bloom. Letting go also teaches you one of the most profound spiritual truths. Not everything in your life is meant to stay forever. Some people teach you love, some teach you patience, some teach you boundaries, some teach you self-worth, some teach you what you should never tolerate again. Every person who comes into your life has a purpose, but not every person has a place in your future. And when you let go of those who have completed their purpose, you create space for those who are meant to walk with you into your next chapter. And this is where your true path becomes clearer. The people who enter your life after you let go are not random. They match your new frequency, they match your healing, they match your growth, they match the person you are becoming, not the person you were forcing yourself to remain. The same is true with opportunities and experiences. The moment you release what is outdated, you make room for what is aligned. You begin attracting experiences that feed your soul instead of draining it. You begin stepping into environments where your growth is supported, not suffocated. You begin making choices that reflect your true self, not your fearful self. And slowly, your life begins to feel right again. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is honest, everything is aligned, everything is real, everything is yours, not borrowed from someone else's expectations, not forced, not held together by fear. Letting go returns you to your authentic path, the path that was always meant for you, the path that feels like home, the path your spirit has been trying to guide you toward your entire life. The most beautiful part is this: you do not have to know your entire path. You do not have to see the finish line. You do not have to understand every step. You only have to let go of what is blocking your way. Your true path reveals itself the moment you stop clinging to the wrong one. Letting go is not the end of your story. It is the moment your real story finally begins. 10. Letting go teaches you the highest spiritual truth. You were never empty, you were just carrying too much. There is a moment in every person's journey where they look at their life and feel a deep, heavy emptiness, as if something important is missing, as if everyone else has found their place while they remain stuck, confused, or disconnected. This emptiness becomes especially strong when you begin letting go of people, habits, relationships, or dreams that once shaped your identity. It feels as if releasing them has created a hole inside you, a void, a blank space that frightens you. But here is the truth. Buddhism repeats, you were never empty. You were simply filled with things that did not belong to you anymore. Letting go does not create emptiness. Letting go reveals emptiness that was already there, hidden beneath layers of fear, attachment, expectations, and emotional weight you carried for years without realizing it. People cling because they fear this emptiness, believing it means something is wrong with them, that their life is lacking something external. But this emptiness is not a flaw. It is not a punishment. It is not a sign that your life has collapsed. It is a doorway, a sacred opening, a clearing space inside you where truth can finally breathe again. Most people never reach this doorway because they continue to fill themselves with noise. They fill themselves with relationships that distract them, not nourish them. They fill themselves with habits that numb them, not heal them. They chase goals that inflate their ego but starve their soul. They hold on to identities that keep them acceptable to others but unknown to themselves. They cling to familiarity because it feels safer than facing the stillness inside them. Letting go forces you into stillness. It forces you to confront the space within yourself. And this is why release feels frightening, not because you are losing something essential, but because you are meeting a part of yourself you abandoned long ago. Buddhism teaches that all suffering begins from misidentification, believing that I am what I cling to. If you cling to a person, you believe their presence defines your security. If you cling to success, you believe your worth comes from achievement. If you cling to roles, you believe your identity comes from how others see you. And when you let go of these things, it feels as if a part of you is dying. But it is not you that is dying. It is your attachment that is dying. It is your false identity that is dissolving. It is your ego that is losing its grip. And beneath that release is your true self, a self that was buried under emotional clutter for far too long. Letting go is not just a practice. It is a return, a homecoming. It returns you to your natural state, a state of spaciousness, clarity, and openness. This spaciousness is not emptiness in the negative sense. It is emptiness in the Buddhist sense, a fertile emptiness, rich with possibility, capable of receiving new experiences, new wisdom, new love, and new purpose. Imagine a cup filled to the brim with muddy water. It cannot receive fresh water until the old is poured out. Letting go is the act of pouring out the old water, the fear, the expectations, the emotional wounds, the illusions, the attachments. Only then can fresh life pour in. Most people are terrified to pour out the old water because they fear the moment when the cup is empty. They fear the silence. They fear the unknown. They fear the temporary feeling of nothingness. But this nothingness is not a punishment. It is a purification. And here is what most people never realize. If you do not empty yourself willingly, life will empty you, eventually through heartbreak, loss, change, endings, and spiritual discomfort. Because your soul cannot grow inside a space crowded with outdated attachments. Letting go teaches you to empty yourself with intention rather than through pain. It teaches you to release what no longer serves you before life forces you to. And once you do, something miraculous begins to happen. The emptiness that once terrified you becomes a source of peace. You begin to understand that you do not need constant noise, constant validation, constant movement, constant connection to feel alive. You begin to reclaim your inner independence. You begin to feel whole, not because someone else is filling you, but because you are no longer filled with what drains you. This is one of the highest spiritual truths. Wholeness does not come from adding more. It comes from removing what never belonged. Letting go also teaches you that peace is not found by chasing more things. Peace is found by releasing the need for those things. It shows you that happiness is not in external attachments, but in internal alignment. You begin to understand that love does not require possession, that connection does not require control, that success does not require struggle, and that joy does not require constant stimulation. You begin to feel a deeper kind of calm, a calm that comes from within, not from what sits beside you. This inner calm becomes your new foundation. It becomes your strength. It becomes your compass. It becomes the energy that guides your decisions and shapes your path. And this inner calm is what finally allows what is meant for you to arrive without obstruction. Because when you are no longer filled with noise, you can hear your intuition clearly. When you are no longer holding on to the wrong people, the right people can see you. When you are no longer clinging to old dreams, new dreams can take shape. When you are no longer blocking your blessings with fear, life can flow toward you with ease. Letting go creates alignment. Alignment creates clarity. Clarity creates attraction. And attraction is what pulls your destiny toward you without force. This is why everything meant for you begins to arrive the moment you let go. Not because you suddenly became luckier, but because you finally became open. Open to truth, open to guidance, open to love, open to blessings, open to becoming the person you were always meant to be. And perhaps the deepest truth of all, you were never missing anything. You were never broken. You were never incomplete. You were simply filled with too much that wasn't yours. Letting go is the moment you become empty enough to finally feel whole. 11. Letting go frees you from the illusion of almost and finally opens the door to what is truly yours. There is a silent kind of suffering that almost every human being experiences at some point in life, the suffering of almost loved, almost chosen, almost valued, almost respected, almost healed, almost supported, almost happy, almost at peace. You hold on to people, situations, dreams, and identities because they give you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to truly fulfill you. You remain in a cycle of almosts, believing that if you wait a little longer, try a little harder, or give a little more, the almost will eventually become enough. But Buddhism teaches that almost is one of the greatest traps of attachment. It is the illusion that keeps you tied to things that were never meant to stay. It makes you cling to relationships that confuse you more than they love you. It makes you hold on to opportunities that drain you more than they help you. It makes you stay in environments that limit you more than they grow you. Almost is not alignment. It is emotional bait that keeps your spirit hungry. And the longer you cling to an almost, the further you drift from what is truly yours. Letting go is the act of breaking free from this illusion. It is the moment you stop settling for almost peace, almost love, almost respect, almost happiness, and begin allowing life to send you the fullness you deserve. But breaking free from almost requires courage, because it demands that you release something that gives you just enough comfort to remain, yet not enough nourishment to ascend. The truth is, most people fear letting go because they fear emptiness. They fear walking away with nothing. They fear losing even the small amount of comfort they receive from their almost. But this fear keeps you spiritually stuck, emotionally stunted, and mentally drained. You begin to believe that almost is the best you can get. You lower your standards. You silence your intuition. You betray your needs. You hold your breath emotionally, hoping someone will finally choose you fully. But life does not reward those who cling. Life rewards those who trust. Letting go frees you from every form of emotional compromise you have normalized. It frees you from situations where you felt invisible. It frees you from relationships where you had to beg for the bare minimum. It frees you from environments where you felt like you had to shrink yourself to be accepted. It frees you from your own patterns of settling, doubting, and fearing that you are not worthy of something better. Every time you let go, you reclaim a part of yourself that you gave away while clinging. You reclaim your boundaries. You reclaim your voice. You reclaim your self-worth. You reclaim the energy you wasted trying to convince someone to stay. You reclaim the peace you lost trying to prove your value. Letting go is not a loss. It is a recovery. You are recovering the pieces of yourself that attachment scattered over time. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from the loss itself, but from the resistance to loss. It comes from your attachment to how things should have been. It comes from your longing for what no longer exists. It comes from trying to revive what has already ended spiritually. When you stop resisting and begin accepting, suffering turns into wisdom, pain turns into clarity, heartbreak turns into redirection. Letting go is the doorway to this transformation. It is the moment you stop rehearsing the past and begin rewriting your future. It is the moment you stop carrying emotional debts that were never yours. It is the moment you stop giving CPR to dead situations. It is the moment you stop offering loyalty to people who give excuses instead of effort. It is the moment you stop holding on to potential and start honoring reality. When you let go, the fog begins to clear. You start to see the relationship for what it was, not what you hoped it would be. You see the job for what it truly offered, not what you exaggerated in your mind. You see yourself more clearly, not through the lens of insecurity or longing, but through the lens of truth. You realize how much emotional weight you carried. You realize how many times you lowered your standards. You realize how often you ignored your intuition because your attachment felt louder. And then something incredible happens. Once you let go of the almost, you create space for the aligned. You create space for the connection that chooses you fully. You create space for the opportunity that matches your worth. You create space for the peace that does not depend on someone else's behavior. You create space for the life that resonates with your growth, not your wounds. People underestimate the spiritual power of space, but the universe understands it deeply. Space is not a void, it is an invitation. And the universe never fills a space you refuse to open. Letting go opens that space. And once the space is open, your life begins to shift in ways you never imagined. You meet people who treat you with the love you always gave freely. You attract opportunities that align with your natural strengths. You form friendships where your presence is valued, not tolerated. You find peace not because life becomes easy, but because your inner world becomes uncluttered. Attachment creates noise. Letting go creates silence. And inside that silence, you hear the guidance you've been ignoring, the quiet voice that has always tried to lead you toward the life meant for you. Letting go also reveals one of the most misunderstood truths about destiny. What is meant for you is never an almost. It is always whole. It is always clear. It is always aligned. It does not confuse you. It comforts you. It does not drain you. It nourishes you. It does not require chasing. It meets you halfway. When you let go of what is not meant for you, you stop blocking what is. You stop blocking the person who would treat your heart with the kindness it deserves. You stop blocking the opportunities that require your full potential. You stop blocking the emotions that bring peace instead of chaos. You stop blocking the version of yourself you were always meant to become. And most importantly, you stop blocking your destiny. Letting go frees you. Letting go returns you. Letting go transforms you. Letting go redirects you. Letting go expands you. Letting go elevates you. Letting go reveals the life that your spirit has been calling you toward. You were never meant to settle for almost. You were meant for clarity, peace, alignment, and fullness. You were meant for the kind of life that does not require fear to hold it. You were meant for what stays, not what confuses. You were meant for what aligns, not what drains. You were meant for what chooses you, not what almost does. Letting go is how you finally claim it. 12. Letting go transforms your inner identity. You become someone life begins to reward instantly. There is a version of you that exists beneath all your fears, attachments, disappointments, regrets, and expectations. A version that is calm, wise, powerful, grounded, and deeply connected to the flow of life. But this version of you rarely appears when you are clinging. It rarely appears when you are trying to control outcomes. It rarely appears when you are holding on to people who do not choose you, situations that drain you, or memories that keep hurting you. The identity you carry while clinging is not your true self. It is your fearful self. Letting go is not just about losing something external. It is about shedding the layer of identity that was built around fear, insecurity, and attachment. It is the process of removing the emotional armor you constructed to protect yourself from pain. It is the act of releasing the false beliefs you created during moments of confusion. It is the unveiling of your true self, the self that was buried underneath the noise of your attachments. Buddhism teaches that identity is not fixed. It is fluid. It evolves as your awareness evolves. And attachments are like anchors tied to your ankles. They keep you trapped in older versions of yourself long after your soul is ready to grow. If you want to evolve, you must release the anchors. This is why letting go feels like losing yourself, because you are shedding a version of yourself that was built around something external. A relationship that shaped your self-worth, a job that defined your value, a dream that gave you direction, a trauma that shaped your fears, a narrative that gave you identity. But these were not you, they were layers around you. Letting go is what removes these layers, and as each layer dissolves, your true self begins to rise, the self that is peaceful without validation, strong without approval, and whole without attachment. This transformation is not immediate. It happens slowly, subtly, and almost invisibly at first. But once it begins, you can feel the shift within you. You start noticing that things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to observe instead of obsess. You begin to move with life instead of fighting against it. Letting go transforms your nervous system. Letting go transforms your mindset. Letting go transforms your energy. Letting go transforms your relationships. Letting go transforms your path. But most importantly, letting go transforms your identity. You stop being the person who waits for others to choose you. You stop being the person who needs control to feel safe. You stop being the person who accepts the bare minimum. You stop being the person who sacrifices peace for temporary comfort. You stop being the person who avoids change out of fear. And slowly, you become someone new, someone powerful, grounded, and aligned. Letting go also changes the way you interpret life. Situations you once perceived as rejection now feel like redirection. People you once saw as essential now appear as teachers who showed you what you needed to learn. Losses that once broke you now feel like necessary pruning. The universe no longer feels like something working against you, it feels like something guiding you. This shift happens because letting go moves you out of a fear-based identity and into an aligned identity. When you cling, your world becomes small, your decisions become reactive, your perspective becomes narrow, your emotions become unstable. You shrink yourself to fit into situations that no longer match who you are becoming. But when you let go, your world expands. You see possibilities instead of threats. You trust timing instead of resisting it. You allow life to unfold instead of trying to control every detail. You begin to feel supported instead of abandoned. You begin to feel guided instead of lost. This is the spiritual transformation people often describe as awakening. You awaken to your own power. You awaken to your own clarity. You awaken to your own worth. You awaken to your own path. You awaken to the reality that everything you clung to was never the source of your identity. It was the distraction from your true identity. Letting go also removes the emotional noise that prevented you from hearing your intuition. When your mind is crowded with fear, your inner guidance becomes drowned out. When your heart is filled with attachment, you cannot hear the deeper voice within you that knows what you truly need. When you are busy clinging, you cannot sense the direction life is trying to lead you. But once you let go, your intuition returns. Your inner wisdom sharpens. Your ability to sense alignment increases. You begin to feel an inner yes and no more clearly. You become someone who trusts themselves, not because everything is certain, but because your soul is finally speaking loud enough to guide you. This transformation is what makes everything meant for you begin arriving effortlessly. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer fear loss, you trust alignment. You no longer try to force relationships. You allow connections that feel natural. You no longer cling to timelines, you follow your inner timing. You no longer break yourself to fit in. You rise into spaces that match your energy. Letting go shifts you from a person who survives life to a person who flows with life. And flowing with life is how you meet your destiny. Because the universe does not place blessings on paths your identity cannot handle. If you are operating from insecurity, fear, doubt, or emotional chaos, the blessings meant for you cannot land. They cannot stay. They cannot flourish in that environment. The universe waits until your inner world becomes aligned enough to hold them. Letting go creates that alignment. It empties your emotional cup so it can be filled with clarity. It softens your energy so peace can enter. It grounds your identity so wisdom can grow. It strengthens your spirit so blessings can rest securely. It elevates your vibration so what is meant for you can finally recognize you. This is why letting go is the greatest transformation of your life, because it returns you to the version of yourself that the universe has been waiting for. And once that version of you emerges, life does not resist you. Life responds to you. Life aligns with you. Life rewards you. Life opens doors for you. Life brings the right people to you. Life protects you from what is not yours. Life carries you to where you are meant to be. Letting go does not just change what you receive, it changes who you become. 13. Letting go teaches you the power of inner surrender. The moment you stop forcing, life starts flowing toward you. There is a gentle yet unstoppable force in the universe that most people never learn to access because they live their entire lives trying to control everything. The force of inner surrender. Inner surrender is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is not giving up. It is the moment your heart stops fighting reality and starts flowing with life. It is the moment your mind stops clinging to what must change and starts trusting what is changing. It is the moment your soul finally aligns with the truth that everything meant for you arrives when you no longer try to force it. Letting go is the doorway to inner surrender, and inner surrender is the doorway to a life of peace, clarity, love, alignment, and miraculous timing. Most people live in a state of inner tension. They constantly push, pull, fix, force, and chase. They try to shape outcomes. They try to control people. They try to protect themselves from rejection, change, uncertainty, and emotional discomfort. They try to make life obey their plans. But Buddhism teaches that this forceful approach is the root of suffering, because you cannot control a universe that is constantly moving, evolving, and unfolding according to a wisdom far greater than your own. The more you push, the more life pushes back. The more you chase, the further things slip away. The more you force, the more resistance you create. The more you cling, the more fragile your world becomes. When you operate from force, you disconnect from flow. Force is fueled by fear. Flow is fueled by trust. And the bridge between fear and trust is surrender. Inner surrender is the moment you stop resisting what is happening. It is the moment you stop arguing with life. It is the moment you accept that certain things are meant to end, certain people are meant to leave, certain paths are meant to close, and certain chapters are meant to finish not because you failed, but because life is redirecting you towards something better. When you resist this redirection, you create suffering. When you surrender to it, you create transformation. Letting go is the act of surrendering to what is, instead of clinging to what was. Inner surrender does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what is too heavy for your soul. It means you stop trying to hold together something that life is naturally pulling apart. It means you stop running after what is running from you. It means you stop exhausting your spirit, trying to change people who are committed to misunderstanding you. When you surrender, you begin to see that not every loss is a failure. Some losses are liberation. Not every ending is a punishment. Some endings are protection. Not every closed door is rejection. Some closed doors are direction. Surrender allows you to see what clinging blinded you from. When you cling, your vision narrows. You see only one path, one person, one outcome, one version of your future. You become trapped inside your own expectations. You confuse comfort with alignment. You mistake attachment for love. You treat familiarity as destiny, and your entire life becomes built around fear. Fear of change, fear of loss, fear of uncertainty, fear of starting over. But when you surrender, your vision expands. You begin to see possibilities you never noticed before. You begin to understand that the universe is not taking things from you, it is clearing the path ahead. You begin to feel that every shift in your life is guiding you, not hurting you. You begin to trust that what is leaving your life is not meant to punish you, but to prepare you. Surrender creates spaciousness. Spaciousness creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates destiny. And destiny unfolds only when you stop forcing life into your old plan. The reason surrender feels so powerful is because it returns your spirit to its natural state, a state of flow. Flow is when your actions align with your intuition, your heart aligns with your path, and your energy moves in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. Flow cannot be accessed through force. It appears only when you release your grip on outcomes. And once you enter flow, everything meant for you begins to arrive effortlessly, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you stop creating resistance. When you surrender, you stop chasing people who don't see your worth, and the people who value you naturally rise into your life. You stop trying to force relationships, and you begin attracting connections that feel peaceful, stable, and aligned. You stop trying to control your future, and opportunities arrive that are far better than what you planned. You stop fearing endings, and you open the door to new beginnings. You stop clinging to what hurts, and healing finally finds you. And the most beautiful part of inner surrender is this: you begin to trust timing. Trusting timing is the highest form of spiritual maturity. It is the moment you understand that life does not revolve around your impatience. It does not obey your fear. It does not follow your wounded timeline. It follows a rhythm beyond your understanding, a rhythm that brings you what you need at the exact moment you are ready to receive it. But you cannot trust timing while clinging. Clinging comes from fear. Surrender comes from faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in your path. Faith in your purpose. Faith in the lessons you are learning. Faith in the timing that shapes everything. Letting go is the first step toward building this faith. Inner surrender also quiets your nervous system. When you cling, your body lives in survival mode. Every unanswered message feels like rejection. Every delay feels like failure. every uncertainty feels like danger. Your body becomes tense, your breath becomes shallow, your thoughts become restless. But when you surrender, your nervous system relaxes, your breath deepens, your mind slows down, your emotions soften. You begin to feel calm, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer fighting life. This inner peace is what makes you magnetic. People are drawn to someone who is at peace with themselves. Opportunities gravitate towards someone who is grounded. Blessings flow towards someone whose energy is open instead of desperate. Surrender transforms your vibration, and your vibration is what shapes your reality. Letting go is not the end. Letting go is the beginning of the life that is truly meant for you. The beginning of relationships that match your soul. The beginning of the healing you postponed for years. The beginning of clarity, peace, purpose, and alignment. When you stop forcing, you stop blocking. When you stop blocking, you start receiving. When you start receiving, you realize that the universe was never against you. It was always waiting for you to let go. Inner surrender is the moment you step out of your own way. It is the moment life finally says, "Now you are ready, let me give you everything that belongs to you." 14. Letting go breaks the emotional illusions that kept you trapped and shows you the reality you were always too afraid to see. There is a strange and painful reality in life that most people never understand until their heart has been broken open by loss, disappointment, or change. Sometimes you are not holding on to a person or a situation, you are holding on to an illusion you built out of hope, memory, fantasy, potential, or fear. An illusion that kept you emotionally tied to something long after life was trying to release it. Letting go is not just about releasing the attachment, it is about releasing the illusion that kept the attachment alive. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from reality, it comes from the stories we create about reality. These stories turn into illusions about what someone meant to you, illusions about who you thought they could become, illusions about the relationship you believed you had, illusions about the future you pictured with them, illusions about the role they were meant to play in your life, illusions about the meaning you gave to their presence. When you hold on to illusions, you lose the ability to see clearly. You start to confuse emotional longing with love. You confuse attachment with real connection. You confuse potential with the truth. You confuse fear with intuition. That's why letting go feels so painful, not because reality is falling apart, but because your illusions are. Illusions feel comforting, even when they harm you. They create a fake sense of stability in your mind. They let you delay the pain of truth. They let you pretend things will somehow become what you wish they were. You stay because the illusion gives you hope. You stay because the illusion gives you identity. You stay because the illusion gives you something to believe in, even if that belief has no real base in reality. But illusions are heavy. They need constant emotional effort, and you have to keep explaining things to yourself. You have to keep justifying behavior that clearly hurts you. You have to keep telling yourself things will change when everything shows they won't. You have to keep feeding the illusion, because without it, you'd have to face a truth you're scared to face. Letting go shatters the illusion, and that breaking is what sets you free. When you let go, the illusion falls apart, and the emotional fog lifts. You start to see things as they really are, not as you wanted them to be. And even though this clarity hurts at first, it becomes one of the most freeing experiences you will ever have, because once the illusion fades, you stop feeling confused. You stop being stuck. You stop feeling trapped. You stop feeling drained. You stop carrying emotional weight that was never meant for you. Letting go is the moment reality becomes clear again. You begin to see the relationship for what it truly was, not for what your heart tried to paint it as, and you begin to see the person for who they really are, not for who you hoped they would become. You begin to notice your own patterns more clearly, the ways you left yourself behind, the ways you ignored your intuition, the ways you lowered your standards just to protect the illusion. This clarity can feel harsh, especially when the illusion was the only thing keeping you emotionally steady, and it can feel like your whole inner world is falling apart. But what's falling apart isn't your world. It's the false world you built from fear and desire. The truth was always there, you just weren't ready to see it. And once the illusion breaks, something powerful happens. Your inner strength wakes up. You start to take back the energy you spent romanticizing someone who never truly showed up. You begin to take back the self-worth you gave away, trying to prove your value to someone who couldn't see it. You begin to take back the clarity you lost while you were lost in hope and fantasy, and you begin to take back the strength that was buried under emotional dependence. Letting go doesn't make you weaker, it brings you back to yourself. You become more grounded, you become more centered. You become more present, you become more aware of truth instead of the stories your mind created, and you begin to show up for yourself in ways you never did before. You begin to trust your intuition again. You begin to notice early signs of misalignment, and you begin to see people clearly without projecting your desires onto them. Letting go also shows you what you were truly craving. Most of the time, the person or situation you held onto wasn't the real thing you wanted. It was just a doorway to what you actually needed. You weren't longing for them. You were longing for love, for safety, for belonging, for understanding, for peace, for connection, for support, for growth, for consistency, for clarity, for security. But you tried to pull these things from someone or something that couldn't give them to you, and that mismatch is what created the illusion. Once you let go, you stop searching for your needs in the wrong places. You begin to understand your desires on a deeper level, and because you're no longer blinded by illusion, you begin to attract what truly fits your needs. Letting go creates real alignment. And alignment is what allows your soul's true desires to finally come toward you. Letting go also teaches you one of the greatest spiritual lessons. You can't receive the truth while holding on to the illusion. What is meant for you lives in truth. What is not meant for you lives in illusion, and you can't hold both at the same time. Letting go breaks the illusion, and truth enters. Letting go clears the illusion, and peace enters. Letting go dissolves the illusion, and clarity enters. Letting go ends the illusion, and your real life finally begins. That's why everything meant for you starts to arrive after you let go. Not because life rewards you randomly, but because truth can only reach you when you stop hiding inside fantasy and illusion. Illusions block your blessings. They keep you emotionally busy with the wrong things, stopping you from noticing the right things. They blur your vision, drain your energy, and weaken your spirit. But once you let go, the illusion fades, and the blessings you were blind to become clear. You begin to meet people who feel real, and you begin to receive opportunities that truly connect with your soul. You begin to feel a peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. You begin to live in reality instead of fear, and you begin to build a life based on truth instead of longing. Letting go is the fall of the false and the rise of the real. It is the moment the fog clears, the moment you finally see, the moment you return to yourself, the moment you take your life back, the moment your true destiny becomes visible. The moment everything meant for you finally knows where to find you, because you are no longer lost inside the illusion. You are here, present, open, aligned, and ready. And the universe always delivers to those who are ready. It redirects the course of your destiny, and it can only guide you when you stop holding yourself back. There is a hidden spiritual law working beneath the surface of every human life, shaping your relationships, opportunities, choices, and destiny. You cannot step into the life meant for you while holding on to a life that was only meant to teach you. Yet most people unknowingly trap themselves in chapters that already ended because letting go feels too heavy, too painful, or too uncertain. The heart wants to move forward, but the mind keeps running back to the familiar, even when the familiar is quietly destroying you from the inside. Buddhism teaches that your destiny unfolds not through force, but through alignment, not through holding tight, but through releasing what no longer fits, not through controlling the flow, but through moving with it. When you cling to something whose season has passed, you are not protecting your destiny, you are delaying it. Destiny cannot exist where fear controls your choices. It can only exist where clarity and courage guide your steps. Letting go is how you align your life with the direction the universe is trying to take you. When you cling, your vision narrows, your energy becomes stuck, and your intuition grows quiet. You can't hear the guidance trying to reach you, you can't feel the opportunities forming in the background, and you can't see the path opening right in front of you. Every moment of clinging keeps you living in yesterday, and destiny can only reach those who are standing in today. Letting go is the moment you step out of the past and into possibility. Possibility was always there, but your hands were too full to receive it. You can't hold the blessings meant for you if you're still holding on to lessons that already ended. You can't walk through new doors if you're still staring at the old ones. You can't become who you are meant to be if you stay attached to who you used to be. Letting go is the moment your future finally becomes reachable. It is the moment the universe can finally move freely through your life. It is the moment your path becomes clear again. It is the moment destiny finds the opening it has been waiting for. Every ending, every loss, every release, as painful as it feels, is making space for what comes next. When you resist letting go, you resist your own growth. You stay in relationships that keep you small. You stay in environments that limit your expansion. You stay in habits that ruin your potential. You stay in mindsets that make you feel unworthy. And you stay in stories that cut your wings. The tragedy is not that life is hard. The tragedy is that you keep rereading chapters that were meant to be finished. The universe is trying to take you somewhere new, but you are holding on to somewhere old. You can't rise if you are tied down. You can't move if you are holding too tight. And you can't be transformed if you refuse to be emptied. Letting go is not the end. It is the elevation. It is the moment the universe whispers, "You learned what you needed to learn here. Now it's time to move forward." But because the human mind fears change, you hear that whisper as rejection, abandonment, or punishment. You believe losing something means losing part of yourself. You believe endings mean failure, but endings are not failures. They are transitions. They are the universe removing what cannot follow you into the next version of your life. Letting go forces you to face the truth that destiny is not created by holding on. It is created by becoming someone strong enough to hold bigger blessings. And you can't hold bigger blessings with hands full of fear. You can't receive miracles with a heart full of old wounds. You can't step into new opportunities while carrying old expectations. Letting go empties you, so destiny can fill you. The universe can't pour into a cup that's already full. The universe can't guide someone who refuses to move. The universe can't open new doors for someone who keeps forcing the old ones. Letting go is the moment you stop blocking your own blessings. That's why, after every deep release, your life begins to change. Not because the world changed, but because your energy did. You start attracting new people, new opportunities, new insights, new ideas, and new directions, because you are no longer trapped in cycles that don't belong to you anymore. Letting go awakens your intuition. When you cling, your intuition gets covered by fear, hope, and emotional noise. But when you release what isn't aligned, your inner voice becomes clear again. You begin to sense which direction feels right. You begin to feel when something truly resonates. You begin to understand what is meant for you and what is meant to leave. Destiny doesn't shout, it whispers, and you can only hear the whisper in the silence that comes after letting go. Letting go also activates a spiritual force many people don't understand: the force of redirection. Redirection is the universe adjusting your path. It removes the people who block your growth. It closes doors that are below your potential. It dissolves situations that no longer match your energy. It breaks the illusions that keep you emotionally asleep. It disrupts your comfort so you can wake up. Redirection doesn't happen to destroy you, it happens to protect you. Letting go is the moment you stop fighting that redirection. It is the moment you trust that what is leaving your life was never meant to stay. It is the moment you trust that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. It is the moment your courage becomes stronger than your fear. Without letting go, you can't receive redirection. Without redirection, you can't reach your destiny. Letting go also reveals the truth about timing. Everything has a season. Every connection has its timing. Every blessing has its window. Holding on to something out of season creates suffering. But when you finally let go, you start to see that life has perfect timing, even when it makes no sense in the moment. You begin to realize some people come to teach you love. Some come to teach you boundaries. Some come to teach you self-worth. Some come to teach you detachment. Some come to awaken your spirit. And some come simply to guide you to the next step. Letting go respects their purpose without forcing them into roles they were never meant to play. Destiny is not about holding on. It's about aligning with what feels right, peaceful, and true. It's about walking away from what your soul has outgrown. It's about trusting the unknown instead of fearing it. It's about stepping into the life waiting for you with a heart that is no longer heavy from the past. And here is the deepest truth. You can't miss what is truly meant for you, but you can delay it by holding on to what isn't. Letting go is how you remove the delay. Letting go is how you unlock your momentum. Letting go is how destiny finds you, because destiny doesn't arrive through force. Destiny arrives through surrender. When you let go, life begins to move. Opportunities begin to appear. People begin to show up. Doors begin to open. Clarity begins to form. Peace begins to settle. Your path becomes clear not through effort, but through alignment. Letting go allows your life to unfold the way it was always meant to, not in fear. Not in confusion, not in chaos, but in truth, purpose, and divine timing. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is returning to yourself. Returning to peace, returning to alignment, returning to your destiny. Returning to the path that has been waiting for you your whole life. When you look back at your life, you will notice something quietly true. Every time you held on too tightly, life became heavier, tighter, darker, and more confusing. And every time you finally let go, whether you did it willingly or life forced your hand, something shifted inside you that you couldn't explain. You became lighter, you became clearer, you became more aligned, you became more connected to yourself, you became more open to what was meant for you. Letting go didn't break you, it revealed you. Throughout these lessons, one truth kept coming back like a heartbeat. Letting go is not about losing something, it's about returning to yourself, returning to your peace. Returning to your clarity, returning to your self-worth, returning to your intuition, returning to your path, returning to the person you were before fear, attachment, or illusion dimmed your light. Letting go is not one single act. It is a spiritual unfolding. It is the release of emotional illusions, old identities, tired hope, and silent suffering. And it is the moment you stop getting in your own way. It is the moment your life finally has space to move. It is the moment the universe can finally reach you, because you can't receive guidance with clenched fists. You can't receive blessings with a fearful heart. You can't receive truth while holding on to illusion. You can't receive growth while clinging to comfort. You can't receive destiny while gripping the past. Letting go is the doorway, and everything else is waiting on the other side. Once you let go, you begin to see that life was never holding anything back from you. You were holding on to the wrong things. You were carrying emotions that were never yours to carry. You were fighting battles that drained your soul. You were trying to bring back chapters that had already done their job. You were staying loyal to situations that didn't respect your growth. You were letting fear guide your steps. But once you release all that weight, something powerful happens. You begin to attract what matches your healed self, not your broken self. You begin to meet people who see your value without you needing to prove anything, and you begin to feel peace in places where you once felt chaos. You begin to follow your intuition instead of your insecurity. You begin to trust timing instead of fearing change. You begin to understand that losing something doesn't always mean losing yourself. You begin to step into alignment with a life that finally feels like home. Letting go teaches you that you are not behind in life. You were simply carrying too much. Letting go teaches you that nothing meant for you requires emotional suffering. Letting go teaches you that the universe won't take anything from you unless it's preparing to replace it with something better. Letting go teaches you that your true path opens the moment you stop forcing the wrong one. And when all of this becomes clear, a new kind of strength rises inside you, a strength built not on control but on trust, not on fear but on clarity, not on attachment but on alignment. You become someone who no longer begs for love, you attract it. You become someone who no longer fears endings, you understand their purpose. You become someone who no longer clings to what hurts you, you release it with grace. You become someone who no longer doubts your worth, you live it. You become someone who no longer breaks under pressure, you breathe, surrender, and rise. This is the silent power Buddhism has always pointed toward. You become unshakable not by holding on, but by letting go. Your new life doesn't begin when things go right. Your new life begins when you release everything that has been holding you back. And in that moment, the moment you finally let go, the universe whispers, "Now you are ready. Take your hands off the past. What is meant for you has been waiting." And it comes. The people who match your growth come. The opportunities aligned with your purpose come. The peace you've been searching for comes. The clarity you've been longing for comes. The blessings that were delayed finally arrive. Everything meant for you begins to find you effortlessly, not because you chased it, not because you forced it, not because you proved anything, but because you became open enough, aligned enough, and brave enough to receive it. This is the final truth of the journey. When you let go, you do not lose. You evolve, you expand, you transform, you rise, and everything meant for you rises to meet you.